Hello everybody and welcome to another video, and today we're going to be looking at it's an artist called Carnifloor. Didn't sound right the first time. Anyway, this person actually contacted me through Facebook through a friend of mine. You know, I'd said something on my friend's status mentioning my channel, and he contacted me asking if I'd look at a track of his. Now, I tried to do a little bit of information, find a bit of information, but I couldn't really find very much. What I have got is Carnifloor is a one-man slam brutal technical death metal project. So it's slam, death metal, possibly technical, a little bit of brutal thrown in there. Started in Amsterdam in the Netherlands in 2012 and is now based in Germany. He's released one demo, one EP and 2 full-length albums, the most recent of which was Engulfed in Gold, which was released on the 20th of June this year. And that's all I can really tell you about him. Now, we're going to be looking at a track called OG Malefactor. So there's that. So I don't have any lyrics for the song, unfortunately. So we'll just be going straight by the actual music itself. So yeah, let's see what we've got, shall we? So OG Malefactor by Carnifloor. Let's have a look. Well, there we go. That was the OG Malefactor by Carnifloor. Now, musically, brilliant. I mean, the song opened up with that almost sort of hip-hop sort of style music going on, which isn't actually mentioned in the band's description at all, and it really threw a curveball at me, and I was sort of wondering where this was going to go, and then, of course, it came in with that really heavy music. And, like I said, musically, really sound, I really liked it. It was really heavy, really brutal. It was great. But I am not a fan of those style of death metal vocals. There's no definition to the actual word. To me, it just sounds like he's growling at different pitches, like going. There's no definition to the sound, so you can't really even take a guess at what he's saying. But that's just me, that's just my personal thing. I'm not a big fan of that style of vocals. I mean, when he was doing the sort of hip-hop rapping sort of bit at the beginning, that sounded great. And, there's no doubt that he's definitely got skill with the death metal vocals. He's definitely got skill, because it does take a lot of skill to do that. It's just, I personally don't like that style. But, that, like I said, that's just me. Rather unusual video, for sure, wandering around in what looked to be a leopard print bathrobe. Quite interesting. Like I said, I have no idea what the actual song is about, because I have no lyrics for it at all, but I'm not even sure they might have helped, to be honest, because I don't know if I would have been able to follow along. Yeah. Like I said, musically it sounded great. I really don't know what else to say about it, to be honest. I don't know where else to go with it. Like I said, the hip-hop bit at the beginning, that was fine, that was great. Musically, sounded great. Vocally, very well performed, but I don't like the style personally. It's still a good piece of music. It's still, very, very good for what it is. I'm just not the biggest fan of it. I don't hate it. I could quite happily listen to it. But it's not. I don't think it's something I'd go out of my way to listen to, if you get my meaning. But, yeah, I can't really think of what else to say about that. So, I think I'll just leave that as it is. Now, if anybody would like to suggest a track for me to react to, then please do so. By all means, you can drop a comment in the comment section below, or message me on my Facebook or my Instagram, or you can even message me through my Patreon, where you could also help to support this channel, which would be a huge help to me. There is an option on Patreon where you can get your suggestion jumped to the front of the queue, should you so desire. There's a couple of limitations on that, just to be fair to other people who suggest tracks through regular means. Such as people suggesting through Facebook, YouTube comments, etc. Just to be fair to them, But there is that option. And do know, if you do suggest a track through those regular means, through Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, etc., it might take me a while to get around to your suggestion, since I do get suggested so many tracks every single day, that I can't record the videos fast enough, and, after my computer decided to kill itself for a month, my list is quite backed up, so, I do write down every suggestion I get, so it will get done eventually. It just might take me a while to get around to it. Also, Metalhead Reacts is a very proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, a British-based charity whose main goal is to put an end to hate crime, mainly those aimed towards people of the alternative music culture. And it's something I believe in very, very strongly, something I'm very, very passionate about, because it's something I've had to deal with personally for years, and this is people from the alternative culture getting violently attacked just purely for the fact that they are a member of the alternative community. And this is a problem. It's been going on for decades. It's been going on for years, but it just gets widely ignored and not spoken about. And that's something that really needs to change. As far back as I can remember, from, when I started listening to heavy metal, from like the age of 10 or 11, just as I started high school or secondary school, depending what you want to call it, I was bullied for the fact that I listened to heavy metal. I was, frequently beaten up at school just because of the fact I listened to heavy metal. And here I am, 29, 30 years later, 40 years old, and I'm still getting people shouting insults at me from across the road just because I listen to heavy metal, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. People are getting violently assaulted, brutally attacked. People are getting hospitalized. People are getting broken bones and sometimes even more life-threatening and invasive injuries just because of their taste in music. And it gets widely ignored. Every day on various media platforms we hear about all these other hate crimes, from sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, religious hatred, etc. We hear these on a daily basis, from the most heinous and violent of these crimes, from someone getting murdered because of the colour of their skin or their religion, down to the most petty and pathetic of these, where an entitled white woman is calling the police because a family of colour are having a picnic in a public area. And we hear every facet of these all the time, especially these most petty, pathetic ones. There's been a horrible spate of them recently. But we hear these every single day. But we never hear about these people that are getting violently attacked just simply because of their taste in music and, the clothes that they wear. The last time this was ever spoken about on a wide platform was 13 years ago, when Sophie Lancaster and her boyfriend Rob Maltby were violently attacked by a group of 5 or 6 people and beaten, kicked, punched and stamped on so severely that they both ended up in comas. Now, Rob Maltby, he did thankfully survive. He was in a coma for around about a week, maybe a bit longer, I can't remember exactly how long, but he thankfully survived. Sophie Lancaster, on the other hand, this young woman, she was 20, 21 at the time. She was in a coma for 13 days before she succumbed to her injuries, and she died. This young woman was beaten to death. This young woman was murdered just purely for the fact that she listened to alternative music and wore alternative fashion. Just that. No other reason. And this happened 13 years ago, and that's the last time there was any widespread coverage of something like this happening. But I know that similar attacks to this have happened in the 13 years since then. Hundreds of them, most likely. But I know for certain it has happened since then. But we've never heard anything about it. And that's unacceptable. We hear about entitled Karens calling the police because someone has different coloured skin. But we don't hear about someone who gets jumped in the middle of the street and beaten and punched and kicked brutally by a group of people just because, they don't like the music that someone's listening to. We never hear about it, and it's unacceptable. It needs to change. We shouldn't have to wait for another tragedy like what happened to Sophie Lancaster before we talk about this again. We shouldn't have to wait for someone to die before we start talking about this again. And even then, it'll probably get spoken about for a few months and then, forgotten about. And, that's unacceptable. We can't allow what happened to Sophie Lancaster to ever happen again. It should never have happened in the first place. We shouldn't have to wait for some absolute brutal tragedy before something gets done. We can't ignore this. People just say, just ignore it. Don't give these people what they want. Don't give them the attention. Just by ignoring it, you're essentially letting these people get away with it. And we can't have that. Because we let them get away with it. They think that it's okay for them to do. And they just carry on. And don't get punished at all. And that's not acceptable. We cannot allow that. And this is one of the things that Sophie Lancaster Foundation is trying to do. They're trying to bring more attention to the fact that this is happening. Try and get more people talking about the fact that this is happening, so we can actively do something to prevent it from happening again. It's really important, because they don't want to see another family go through what they went through when they had to watch their daughter slowly die over the course of 2 weeks. You know, they don't want another family to have to bury their child because of a group of intolerant idiots who are so small-minded that they can't accept the fact that not everybody likes the same thing. You know, it's important that something gets done about this. If you'd like to find out more about the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, there is a link to their website in the description below. You can go over there, find out what they're working on at the moment, and find out what their main goal is, because they can explain it a lot better than I can. And if you can help them out in any small way, whether it's like a small donation through their website, or something as simple as one of these wristbands off their web store, obviously you don't feel obligated to do so, but the smallest amount can make the biggest difference. And the sooner we get more people talking about this, the sooner we have more people paying attention to the fact that this is happening, the sooner we can help to stamp out prejudice, hatred, and intolerance everywhere. But I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. Thank you all very, very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.